Hello and welcome to Into Your Life podcast. I'm Lenka and I'm joined here by my wonderful co-host Natalie.
Hi, we invite you to join our weekly conversations about finding more life in one's life.
Well, what does it actually mean?
We have discussions about ways to live happier, healthier, and more fulfilling lives, both personally and professionally.
That sounds great. Let's go.
Lenka, today I want to talk about something we've not really discussed much. So this is let's put our business caps on, because at the end of the day, we are on a personal development journey. We are learning new things, but we are business owners as well, or solopreneurs, or whatever we want to call ourselves. But we both have our own business. So let's put our business cap on and talk a little bit about business. But one specific thing I'd like to talk about is networking. Now, networking can be personal, you network in your social life, you network for business. And I just want to more focus on networking to grow your business, because we've both run networking meetings, we've both attended networking meetings, and we come from different perspectives. I come from more of the confidence side, whereas you can come from the marketing side. So we sort of touch on that. And I thought this might be a bit of a fun topic. Something different is business. I know this is supposed to be part of our journey, but our businesses are part of our journey because our businesses change as we change. It grows and develops. So with regarding to networking for me has been a love-hate relationship. It works for me. Sometimes I enjoy it. Sometimes I really don't enjoy it. And networking is one of those words that can almost get people to like, that's it, I quit, because I don't want to walk into a room full of strangers. I don't want to have to make polite conversation. Oh, there's always that one guy who literally throws his business card at you and walks off. You get sold to constantly. There's very difficult to have communication. And then as an introvert, you then have to almost push yourself forward to be heard or seen and to talk. And this can create this like, I'm not networking, I'm not going. And of course, over the years or the last few years, networking has changed. You don't necessarily have to leave your house. There's a lot of networking done online, a lot of global networking, because now you don't have to be in your area. So before I start sort of going in a little bit about what I think of networking, is share your idea of networking, just your experiences of networking. And then, and I think at the end, we're both going to share a tip. I'll share a confidence tip. Lenka, you share a marketing tip, but we'll leave that for just the end. So Lenka, what are your thoughts about networking and experiences?
I am kind of excited about this topic. It's weird because we're talking about networking and we're both introverts, which somehow doesn't seem to match, but yet it is important, as you said. It is an essential part of running and growing and building a successful and thriving business. And if you are an introvert, then networking, just the word, can just fill you with dread and anxiety. And that's why, to start with, I like to reframe networking as, connecting with people, meeting new people. That might scare some people off, but it just means to get to know a couple like-minded people. And for marketing, it means we are growing our network. We are building an audience. And potentially we are becoming a part of a community. And all these things, all these terms are important for a business to grow. We need people in our lives. Just on the principle of being a human, we don't want to go it alone. We don't want to be lonely and isolated on this wild journey of having a business. And we need to meet people, to have business buddies and to have coaches and mentors. And obviously, to find collaborators and clients and get referrals. And for that, we need people, we need others, we need to meet them. And the thing to do is to go out networking, because you can't meet people from the comfort of your own house. Unless you're doing, obviously, the modern thing of networking virtually, but you still need to log into a Zoom room with 10, 20, 50, even more people, do the elevator pitch, staring at the screen and seeing all the 60 faces staring at you. Honestly, virtual networking feels a little bit more intimidating than walking into a room. But overall, no matter if you do it in person, if you do it virtually, if you're just starting out, or if you've been out and about networking for a little while, it is an essential tool for business. It is a very important part of our marketing, because we buy from people, we sell to people, we interact with people, and networking, meeting people, going to these events, connecting with others, helps us to do market research, to understand what products, offering, services we really need to be creating and shipping out there. It allows us to connect with people that can potentially become clients or refer us. We can spread the word of mouth of who we are and what we do and what we stand for. So I think networking is such a wonderful part of the business. When you figure out some of the quirks, I think we're going to go a little bit more into, how do you find the confidence of actually entering be it a physical or virtual room with lots of strangers, to speak up with conviction and get your message across, to then, how do you choose strategically to which event to go to so you're not wasting your time, and how do you actually get the most out of investing your time, effort and energy, and how to potentially manage your energy at these events. I think we're might touch on that later on, but I'm very curious. As an introvert, I had my journey of learning how to fake to be confident, to then learn how to embody being confident, then kind of thinking that I am confident enough networking. I'm curious to know what advice you have, you, Natalie, as a confidence coach, for people who might still have goosebumps just thinking about, networking. I know I really should do that, but I really don't wanna. What can you teach them?
Well, before I go into my lesson, it's you and I wouldn't have met if it hadn't been for networking, because at that time you were running a network and I was looking for a networking, and we wouldn't have met. And I mean, that was many, many years ago when the world was very different. And it just goes to show, you mentioned collaborations and support and encouragement. But there's also a lot of learnings. I've got a lot of learnings from networkings, because quite often people will showcase their skills, or they will give a lesson, or they do like a little mini talk or mini workshop. And over the years, I've garnered so much information through people sharing their expertise at a meeting. It's a way to showcase what it is that you do and who you are, but you also giving some lessons or some ideas or some actions that you can take in your business. And for that, I find networking a really wonderful place, because you get these sort of mini, I'll call them workshops, and you also start to build a relationship with the person who's given them to you. And because you see them on a weekly basis or a couple of times a month or once a month, you really start to build these relationships. And that has been sort of over the last 10 years, the mainstay of what I do and how I do it, and growing my business or changing it or anything. I've always been networking. And I've, as I think I mentioned in the beginning, I sort of do have a love-hate relationship with it. It's pre-COVID, it was in my area very early in the morning sometimes, because people used to have what they call breakfast network meetings, and I know they've gone back to that. But if you are limited to how far you can go to and time, you then don't have a wide choice of networks that you can go to. And just going into that room with strangers to start with, it is very intimidating. It is scary. And especially being that early in the morning, which I'm not a morning person, was very difficult. And I remember my first network meeting. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. And I still come across people today who said, I remember you at your first meeting. But then it comes with, you are so different. You have grown. Your confidence has grown. So people have witnessed my journey through networking. But now networking is different, for me anyway. There are face-to-face networks and you can still go. But now there's very much this online networking, and you can network globally. I have met so many amazing people in the States, in South Africa, in Sweden. We've had a couple of guests on here who've come through network meetings. Why? Because we can travel from our desk in our house all over the world and meet amazing business owners. And this is the way I like to network, because as an introvert, I'm still in my own space. I'm in my own home. And if I am finding the meeting overwhelming and daunting and too much mansplaining happening, you can go, you can hit your sound button and it just be quiet for a little bit. You can go off camera just to catch your breath. As a rule, I'm always on camera networking, because I think that if you're networking, be seen. But there are times when I've had to turn off the camera just to catch my breath, just to give myself that space. And that's something you can't do face to face. But generally, as a whole, when I just lump networking into a whole thing, I do enjoy it because you get to meet some amazing people. Not every single meeting has been a roaring success. Not every meeting have I gone back to the same meetings. And as you mentioned, Lenka, it is about finding the right meeting, the right place. But what I'm going to share with you is a tip, or a top tip for confidence. And this can be used whether you are going to a face-to-face networking or you networking online. It's the same principle. You can use the same tool. And one of them is, before you enter the room, whether physically or hitting that Zoom button and entering that room, is give yourself a moment. Just stop for a moment, take a few deep breaths, usually about 3 deep breaths, in, out, and just slow down. Just stop, literally stop moving, stop rushing about, stop being in a hurry, and just do those deep breaths. And then walk into the room. Now, if you're going into a physical room, walk into the room and just scan the room and look to see who looks like the organizer, who smiles at you, where's the coffee tape, where's the coffee? I mean, go there if you need to go there. So you look like you're on a mission, but just give yourself that space to just enter the room. You don't have to make conversation the second you enter the room. Just look. Who seems friendly? Who can you approach? Maybe somebody will notice you and they'll approach you and welcome you. And then you take it from there. If you're going into a Zoom room, is the same. Just stop, pause before you open up that Zoom link or the Teams link, whatever link you're using. And then just go off camera, because people do like to see your face and you are there for business. Smile and just see what's going on. Is there a conversation happening? Somebody might say, hi, welcome. How are you, or something. Then you can respond, or just see if there's a conversation going. Is just listen. So it's almost like just scan the room. Who's in the room? Who's smiling? Who isn't smiling? Just get the vibe of what's going on. Wait to see what instructions is going to happen. But you don't have to sprint into the room and instantly start talking, especially as an introvert. Just take your time, enter slowly, just peruse, see who's there, see what's happening. and take it from there and just see what direction you go into. So I'll leave you with that, because that is just entering into networking, and just see what happens. But do network, do give it a go at least 3 times, maybe 3 different meetings. You can't always decide on your first one. If I had taken it on the first meeting, I would never be networking again, because that was awful. But we learn. And this is the great thing, is the more you network and get into a rhythm of it, the more you'll grow your confidence. So I'll leave you with that one. So Lenka, what is your marketing tip for networking and growing your visibility?
Well, just to say that what you described is actually very true and it works. Because when I started networking, I wasn't very confident, I wasn't really sure. But probably within 6 months to a year, I became in Cambridge known as pretty much a networking maverick. I would be on every networking meeting as an introvert. I've learned how to hack the system, how to play with my energies and how to not be intimidated by a room full of people, and how to find those opening pockets of conversations, and obviously how then to treat myself afterwards and how to recharge my energy. I would add something on top of your tip, which what I've learned, one of the easiest ways to start attending networkings and feel less overwhelmed, it's show up early. It goes for online and in person, but especially in person. Show up 10-15 minutes early, because there will be pretty much no one around. You'll get to meet the organizer, and you will be almost in a position of power when other people start arriving, because you can almost welcome them and you will get the first pick on who you want to talk to. So for me, one of the key lessons that I've learned on my networking journey was always come first, early as possible, get to know the organizer. If possible, if your energy allows, stay till the end and be the last one to leave. Again, it allows for more deeper conversations with 1 or 2, 3 people still lurking around, and you get to know the organizer, which is then how I ended up often co-organizing events, organizing my own events, running networking events, which also helps because you're in control. I'm not saying that you have to organize your own networking, it is a lot of work, but it helps to arrive early, have the time to really get your bearings, to see what's happening, where is the tea and coffee, where is the organizer, where to lose, where can I hide if it gets too much. And on Zoom, often the rooms do open up early. Sometimes just the waiting room opens at the same time, but sometimes the organizer is there on the link a couple of minutes early. And you get to be the first handful of people that get a chat. Or you can be the ones who, before they close down the room, just be the last one to say, hi, thank you, it was great. So that's an add-on. When it comes to using networking for marketing purposes, we can often jump to, I have to be strategic, I have to meet these people, I have to ask them these questions, what business are you in, what are you looking for, what are your problems? And we can take it a little bit too robotic. We can take out the humanness of it. So my marketing tip is go to networking to meet people as people, to get to know them as humans, to be interested in them as humans, and to let the business and marketing on a side for at least a little while. And I know that different meetings will have a different agenda, different structure, but you are always in control of what questions are you going to ask the person. You can always choose whether or you will continue with, what is it that you do, and how's business going, and what kind of a client are you working with? Or you can look at more of the personal side of things on, what is their purpose? What is their mission in life? What are they passionate about? And we can play around with the conversation as humans. And I already touched on it with the questioning and listening. But one of the key pieces of advice I got from an incredible networking expert early on was to be interesting, be interested, which means to really come across as someone who is an interesting person to be around. We actually don't need to talk as much. We need to ask questions and let the other person to do all the talking. Because that means that they feel good. They feel to be listened, they feel being interesting, they are the ones really feeling good about themselves because we're curious. And even if you end up speaking very little, you will have made an impact. They will remember you because you made them feel good. So this is the final cherry on the top. If you're not confident talking about yourself just yet, even better, really hone in on the skill of asking questions, listening, genuine listening with the intention to understand, not just thinking about what is the next thing I'm going to say. Taking a pause if needed to think about and ask further. And you will see that the people will flock to you, that the people will want to talk to you because they will realize that, you make them feel special. And that's all we want, to feel special. So that's my piece of advice. And I would like to ask you, our lovely listeners, do you love networking? Do you hate networking? Do you go out networking in person? Do you network virtually? Do you have any groups that you absolutely love and you wouldn't mind me and Natalie joining, maybe? Let us know in the comments. Drop us a message. Be it, if you run a networking event and you would love us to show up and give you a shout out maybe later on. We'd love to expand our network, meet new people, and spread the word. So thank you for listening. Hopefully it was helpful. And I really, really hope that you will feel excited to go out and network.
If you enjoyed listening to our conversation, please share it with your friends and colleagues, and don't forget to subscribe. We would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and write a short review.